Google Chrome has started forcing me into doing apps. I've had my account annihilated today. I think somebody doesn't like the Trump debate, which descended into anarchy. Because if you go to Chicago and if you go to Chicago and say what he's going to say, there's going to be some friction, and I don't know. I think it's just an example of how the whole debate is descending into bullshit, and it's no surprise that it happened between the two extreme wings of the choices that are on offer.
Yeah.
They showed how similar their respective fringes are.
Yeah, exactly. It's why it's a horseshoe.
And there's this guy. He's on this post. So Donald Trump is like, I look at him I try to be objective. Like, I disagree with most of all of the things he says. Actually, I don't like him very much. But there's a bit of me that, on pure, I don't agree with what you say, but I'll defend to your death the right to say it ground, wants to not support him, but support him being in the race. Like, I'd defend the right of the BNP to stand in election. And then I'd go and campaign against them. But I defend their right to stand, because you don't get anywhere by repressing people. If anything, all you do is harden the core of whatever movement it is you're trying to repress.
Yeah, precisely.
So, but this guy's on this thread, and he's arguing from the point of view that Sanders is a fascist. And I'm like, the most you're going to get out of me is that his supporters, some of whom are online SJW twats.
Yeah, a lot of them are, but he does have some good points, Sanders.
Yeah, but a lot of those people are borderline fascistic. I deal with the same problem myself. They try and police my language. I don't like it. But that's not the same as saying you're going to deport 11 million people who are already fucking here. Like, anyone who's going to start with a thing saying, like, for example, if he had said, I'm going to build a wall and I'm going to give everybody who's already here an amnesty, you basically fuck both ends then. Because the people who are going to do you for being xenophobic can't, because you're given an amnesty. And the people who want to do you for being too left-wing, for giving an amnesty, can't, because you're building a fucking wall. Now, to me, that's just sensible. Why he hasn't got an advisor just telling him to do that, I don't know. But he doesn't, and I don't think if he had an advisor, he'd listen. I think that's one of the things the people who support him for, is the fact that I don't agree with Donald Trump, but at least he's going to say what he thinks. But I don't think that's true. I think he just says stuff. I don't actually think he believes what he thinks at all. That he thinks what he says. The whole debate is starting to descend, and the problem with that is that it just points to the centrist candidate. All these people are doing when they do this is advertising for
somebody like Clinton or Rubio.
Yeah.
Somebody like that.
Which nobody, that's the worst option. Because even from the left's point of view, if Trump wins the presidency, okay, it would be one of the best things that happened to the left in America in 4 generations.
Why?
Because it would solidify the left. If Trump,
because he's not like Ronald Reagan, is he? Because Ronald Reagan, for all of his haters and doubters and everything like that, he had a clear plan.
Yeah.
That he wanted to implement.
And he sold.
Trump is just fluff.
He sold the American worker on it. Now, lots of people complain about Reagan. If you want to, and how Reagan undermined the position of the average American Joe worker, the president who did the most to undermine the average Joe, the average Joe American worker's wages was Bill Clinton with NAFTA, and with what is it, TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership? Yeah. So. And that whole trope and the ignorance of it is, you see that as well with the reaction to 9/11 on the left and the right. The right wing saying there's nothing to see here, and the left wing saying it was an inside job and Bush ordered it. When the truth is always between the two. It's an inside job in the sense that the CIA were training and paying the Taliban in the 70s and 80s to the tune of $2 billion as a proxy army against the Russians, and it took 30 years for that chicken to come home to roost. Now. So you see the truth, what is it? The truthers. Is it the truthers? Is that what they're called? 9/11 truthers on the one side, and the Reaganite Republicans on the other side. Both with their propagandized viewpoint, ensure that the people in the center never see the actual truth, which is that our tax is in the 70s and 80s paid for this.
Yeah.
So there is someone who needs to answer for that. We do need to do an investigation into the CIA, but not because the CIA have directly ordered planes to be flown into the fucking Twin Towers. Worse than that, in it, if you wanted to think about it, like if the CIA had planned it, at least then they would have planned it. You know, it's even worse than that in a way because they did it by accident.
Yeah.
Now, to my mind, that's almost more damning.
What is it?
You know what the code is, don't you?
Yeah.
It's gonna need. If I were you, before you started, I'd put caffeine on and let it charge for 10 minutes because it's not.
Got caffeine on.
Yeah. Are you about to study?
Yeah.
Yes. In my experience, preferable to have caffeine in your system.
I'm drinking wine.
Why? It's an echo chamber, basically. But an echo chamber makes a lot of noise, man.
Making a safe space here.
Yeah, well, it's... what I do is I do an object lesson and experiment with your record company page.
Yeah, I never used that thing though.
What
When you
thing?
linked it to me, I was like, "Fucking hell, where'd you find that one too?" Like,
You invited me to it.
did I?
Yeah. Years ago, I guess. I thought it was a new invite, though, because it just came up on my notifications, and I was like, he better not be trying to fucking make me promote for Dylan secretly. Because I would go fucking ballistic.
No,
And I
that
was
was
like,
years ago, man.
is this Dylan? And you were like, nah. No, that's mine. Well, if it is yours, and it's in my gig, and you own the recording, we can do stuff with that. And do you know what would be brilliant? Is to do something with it that made more money for Dylan than anything he's ever done for himself.
Wouldn't that be everything?
Yeah. Pretty much. Oh, guess what? Kirsty's been arguing with the Cardiff Feminist Network today.
Over what?
Being transphobic.
No, it wasn't about that. That's what they turned.
That's what they
into.
tried to turn it into. And do you know the person, Quinn, who I was telling you about? They're not even a woman. She's a dude. So she's a dude who tells women to get out of Cardiff Feminist Network for not being feminist enough. I am not even joking.
That's crazy. But I suppose it's not just because you can't just be a feminist anymore. You've got to be a feminist plus fucking LGBTQ element.
Yes, mate, if you've got a pound of flesh between your legs, you definitely have to be more than a fan. Do you know what I mean? Quinn. Now that I know that she's a he, he's got a MySpace account. The latest tweets from Gender a Glitch. She's one of the ones that's made a big meal out of Jermaine Greer.
Alright, so she's one of those ones.
Yeah, she's got 575 followers on Twitter. My gender is no. So basically, she's not a woman.
Gender fluid, like one of them.
Listen to this. This is one of her genius jokes. I've used rulers to scratch myself far more often than I've used them to measure anything. There's no punchline. Stop waiting. That's it. Quinn, comedy genius. One, we're going to stop calling her she. Okay? In her case, we're not going to be polite. And we're going to remind him every time of his pound of flesh.
I don't do that.
Don't you? Well, as much as I love Twitter, I have to keep taking breaks from it. It keeps me informed, but it ain't half depressing sometimes.
What, the Twitter?
Deep. I was looking at MRAs think they're Morpheus, but they're actually Cypher.
Yeah, she called me an MRA.
Yeah. Now, the thing about that is
the
that...
dreaded MRA.
No, but wait, that's a fucking Matrix lesson. I mean, 1999 called, and they said they want their fucking references back. Just, what the fuck? Like, that is a 17-year-old film reference. At least Stephanie Fantastic has got quite nice tits, though, but she's... You can tell from her profile picture, she's one of those girls that doesn't want to show the rest of her whale-like body. Because it's super close up on the face and the cleavage. Yeah, we notice, ladies. All right, we notice. We notice that shit. And they don't troll Trump half as well as I do.
The thing is, though, man, is the type of trolls that they do on Trump actually make him stronger. They
Yeah.
make more entrenched the people who support him anyway.
The trolling you should do on Trump is, you want to build a wall, do you? Okay, then, fine. How long's the wall going to be? Well, let's do some research on Trump's wall, shall we, Sean? Let's research the logistics of it, because we're civilization players.
It's going to be like, what, 2,000
Yeah,
miles?
wait. Let's figure it out.
Like that.
How long is the US-Mexican border? Because I know for a fact that the US-Mexican border is the most crossed border in the history of human civilization. And that's just the legal. That's just the legal crossings, okay? That's not including the 11 plus million illegals that have crossed over from Mexico and from South America and Mexico and Central America into the USA. Yeah. Each year, more than 500 million people cross the borders into the United States. Some 330 million of whom are non-citizens every year. So when people get really fucking ratty about some Americans asking questions about that, you have no right to question Americans about that. It's their country, and if they want to investigate how many people are crossing their fucking border, that's entirely at their discretion, and you're not allowed to call them fascists for doing so. So, right.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of fucking people, like, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I know, right? The United States has 5,525 miles of border with Canada and 1,989 miles with Mexico. So let's assume Donald Trump is going to build a 1,989 mile long wall. Doesn't matter how big that wall is. If it isn't policed, okay? Doesn't matter how tall it is. If you don't police it, people are going to get over it. And the wall, as soon as one person is over it, that means that the wall is a fucking white elephant. Because if you're going to build a wall, the trick is no one getting in and no one getting out. The second one person does, your wall is pointless. So let's assume that to police it properly, you would need a tower every quarter of a mile. Right?
Yeah.
And the Americans use miles, not kilometers. So that means, we'll round it up, that means you're going to need 8,000 towers to police that, because it's a 1,989 mile long border. We'll round it up to 2,000. And if we're going to have 4 towers per mile, we'll need 8,000 towers. And those towers are going to need to be manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And to do that, people usually work 8-hour days, don't they? So to do that, you're going to need shifts of border guards who are going to be armed, right? And you're going to need at least 2 men in each team on each shift, on each tower, right? So then it's 2,000 times 4 towers per mile, times 2 men per team, times 3 for 3 teams to cover a 24-hour period, okay? So it's 2,000 times 4 is 8,000, times 2 for the 2 men is 16,000, and then times that by 3 because there's 3 teams. So that's 30,000, and then 6 times 3 is 18, so it's 48,000. You would need a standing government army of 48,000 armed soldiers, trained soldiers, federally sanctioned soldiers to man Trump's wall. Okay? Now, one of the things the Constitution of the United States is written specifically to stop is large bodies of armed troops billeted from the federal government, billeted in the states. It's an impingement. It impinges upon states' rights, doesn't it? And so
yeah, but then the way around that though is to give the money to the Fed down to the states level, so it'd be the National Guard or
but you couldn't because
Guard
but then instead of having one contiguous wall, what you have in logistical terms is, well, how many states are there on the US?
Let's have a look.
Texas,
New Mexico.
Is the one that Breaking Bad was filmed in there?
Arizona.
Yeah. The AQB, Albuquerque. Yeah, I got a map of it up now. Let me just bring it up. Oh wait, no, that's in fucking Spanish. You lost that country. I don't know why you lost that land, Mexico. Why have you made a map with Mexican and Spanish on it. Right. So we got. Come on, image. Depixelate. That's how boring trolling that fucking non-woman feminist is. That we're already on Trump's wall. Oh, the webpage doesn't load well. Isn't that a thing? Right, you got Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. All right? Those are the 4 states that that police that wall. Now, let me tell you why you can't do it with separate states. It's because Texas, and to a certain extent New Mexico, and to the same extent Arizona, will all probably police the wall in the same manner. But California, politically, isn't very much like Texas, or like Arizona, or like New Mexico. It's much more democratic and European. It's a bit more like Washington State up the West Coast. Do you know what I mean? And so...
Yeah, but I think Trump has already addressed this issue.
How?
In the sense that in one of the later debates that he had, I can't remember which one it was, but somebody asked him this, and he said that he'd cut off any funding to any type of sanctuary city or anybody that didn't play along with.
Yeah, but hang on. Yeah, but that's not answering it, because that is a massive and total overreaction of the power of the presidency. And if he did that, he'd be raising the question of states' rights. Which,
yeah, he would. Yeah,
yeah. Which
very
hang
much
on.
the same way that Obama has in his term, with Obama putting out his.
Yeah, but the difference is Obama doesn't care. Obama came to office saying, "I'm going to make." Well, you know, the coded language was, "You either get in line with my liberal agenda, right wingers, or I'll just railroad you, and then I'll castigate you in the press using my bully pulpit to make you look like the people who have failed." You know, even though if you want socialized healthcare, Obamacare is not the way to do it. Even people who advocate for socialized healthcare say that. It was, you know, you can't do a middle of the road option between.
It's got to be all or nothing.
Yeah, you can't do it that way. You have to do it like the NHS, or you just have insurance. You cannot do middle of the road because it just muddies the water. You either have the market in or the market out, and the state buys off the market. But anyway, the point is, if you have 4 separate states with 4 separate border guards with 4 police in the same wall, they will police it in different ways. And you can't police a contiguous wall in different ways, because the people trying to get over the wall will learn where it's not policed very well,
where it's weakest,
and where it is policed well, and therefore the wall will break down. The wall will have to be a federal affair. It'll have to be part of the federal government. Texas is not going to allow... Texas has got the most Mexican border. Texas is not going to allow a federal force, armed and trained, of that size, to be permanently camped on its southern border. The same goes for Arizona and New Mexico, and the Californians won't be very fucking happy about it either. So the wall, in practical terms, simply couldn't happen. The Constitution, as it was written when it was first drafted, specifically prohibits the border guard you would need to police that wall. And the weird thing about the American debate is that's not been said. People just dismiss the wall. No one's gone through the point of making those, 5 points in a row.
Yeah, but this wall has been a hot button topic though for about 15 years or so. Because I can remember when George Bush was in power, they were building some sort of fucking wall between Mexico and America.
It's always.
So
it's a metaphor. That was at best a metaphor. Because don't forget, do you mean George Walker Bush, or do you mean George W. Bush Jr.?
Junior.
Right. Well, the thing with Junior is that even if he did say that in those exact words, if you look at what he did in office, what he did was give loads of Mexicans an amnesty. This is the big myth about George W. Bush Jr. is that because he did the clusterfuck that was Iraq, which, is open to debate as time has gone on. Like, the people who say it was a bad idea say that the fallout justifies the fact that we should never have gone in. And those who say that cutting and running in 2012 was a bad idea say we shouldn't have left so early. We're still occupying Europe to keep that peace. What made us think that keeping the peace in the Middle East was going to take less time than Europe? So it's open and shut on that. But what happens with George W. Bush Jr. is that his domestic record and his record on places like Africa gets completely forgotten. Because I'll tell you a quote now, which I remembered by heart, and it's not because of the person who said it, because I hate that person. It's just because of who they are and where they lie on the spectrum and what they're saying. If that person's saying it, there must be some truth to it. And the quote is, "This president, George W. Bush Jr., has done more for Africa than any president in the history of the United States." Who said that?
I don't know.
Bob Geldof.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So, if Bob Geldof is saying that about George W. Bush Jr., there's probably some truth to that. Bear in mind, though, Bob Geldof did that Christmas record, didn't he? Where it turned out that a lot of the money actually got given to government forces so that to pay for them to ethnically cleanse people.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, well, at least they raised the money, though, right?
No, the important thing, Sean, the important thing is that white people who'd been sold white guilt got a day off.
Yeah, true.
That's what that whole thing was about. But you can see as well with George W. Bush Jr. that his record on Africa it gets completely dismissed by leftist liberals in America. What else does and the fact he gave all the Mexicans a fucking amnesty, and even though he did that, it's less than 10 years later. And there are now 15 million more illegals in the USA. It's really strange as well, because every 10 years they get about 15 million illegal immigrants. And every 10 years, the average wage of the average American worker goes down by an amount which is comparable in almost direct comparison to the illegal immigration they face.
No, but again, that's not another issue. That's the weird thing, the weird dichotomy with the left. And it's always one that struck me as weird, man. It's just like, yeah, we want more wages for more people.
Yeah.
It's like, so how does that work?
And also we're not going to have competition. We won't have academic competition either. So we won't be able to know who's good and who's bad at jobs.
Yeah. But we want more jobs for more people with more wages.
Smooth. Right, what's the plan? What are we building? What are we doing?
We're still on the path to Porcelain Tower.
Righteousness.
Well, that would be nice, but...
So should we start trolling Peyton Quinn?
Who's that
Quick, guys, we need to protect free speech by teaming up with right-wing groups to protest against students protesting. What? Doesn't make any sense.
In response to me telling her that I had a degree in medical biochemistry, she said she had a degree in bullshit detection and trolling detection.
The weird thing is, no one likes her Facebook page, her Twitter page. It is an online echo chamber. Oh my god, that's such a dude. Have you seen his face? Oh my god, look at him. Mate, you would be a much more handsome man than you are a woman.
Though, where she looks really fat.
Yeah, right, it's not a she. That's a boy. Okay, that's a fat boy that got bullied into pretending he was a girl just so that someone would accept him in school. Okay, so what happened was he became the fag hag. The women are the fag hags. He became the faggy guy. Fag hags hung off in that stage in comprehensive / high school where people are trying to get an identity because they're all losers.
Talking about public schools now.
Look at this. Yeah. Listen to this. My Twitter isn't very funny for an inverted commas comedian. If you're interested in whether or not I am on stage, then go here. Facebook.com Peyton Quinn Comedy. That's her Facebook page. What you need to do is say, Peyton, I've just done some investigating into you. I found out that you're a comedian and you've got a Facebook page. And then you can post one of the pictures of the traffic we get for the shit we share. And you can say, do you want us to help you to get some traffic to your Facebook page? We can call it sisterly solidarity. And what I'll do is, I'll double the number of people who like your page in 24 hours. And as a thank you, you will fuck off and never talk to me again. It boggles the mind.
Write it out for me and I'll send it.
Just say Peyton Quinn. Well, here's your phone.
No.
How can you not remember that? I just said it. Peyton Quinn. I've noticed that you're a comedian. I do some editing and stuff for some online news platforms, and we get quite a big post reach. And then you post the one of the 475,000 post reach, and say, if you want, I'll share your Facebook page. But as a thank you, you've got to promise that after I double your Facebook likes in 24 hours, you never fucking talk to me again. And she'll say, yeah. She'll do it as well. Because that's how desperate these fuckers are for attention. It's pathetic. If you want attention, it's not like it's hard to get. There's the internet. You know what I mean? You can get some decent memes, get a YouTube channel, make a fucking page, start sharing. As long as your content's good enough, you will get some traction. Oh my God, listen to this one from March 7th. Do you ever feel like killing yourself but realize you just have too many good options? Like, should I try more than one just to be sure? Gutted I wasn't following it. Can you imagine if I'd seen that? Do it, Peyton, please. And I think she wants trolls. I think like Anita Sarkeesian, she would take justification. She'd take reassurance from the fact that people gave her the attention to trollers. So I'm just gonna look at the endless patheticness of her page, and I kind of feel a bit sorry for her. Not very much, but I do a little bit. Allah's become an anti-social justice warrior. He's sick of the fucking women he created out of that rib. Worst ribs I ever bought, said God. Like, what is it? Oh yeah, the language police must be stopped. You're an unemployed... So, do you know that Willy Wonka meme?
Yeah.
It's like, it says, you're an unemployed social justice warrior, third wave feminist, and a mother to 3 kids by different dads. Please, tell me more about destroying the patriarchy that feeds, clothes, houses, gives money to, educates, and maintains the health of you and your freeloader family. Do you know who that's made for? There's a specific person that was made for. Her name is... Oh my God. She's one of those people... Garth the dog father. Follows so that he can cry wank over her profile pictures, right? Facebook fapping.
That sounds like fun.
No, honest, do you know how much I wish what I just said wasn't true? I really wish that there was no truth to it whatsoever. But sadly, that's not the world or the dimension we live in, Sean. We live in the dimension where on this fucking mud rock, a bald ape does that.